Evil science and magic buddies.
Hello and welcome to the Kryptonaut Podcast presents Evil Science and Magic Buddies, the show within the show, the conspiracy of the conspiracy, the Crypto Roundtable. I am Mark Storrs, and with me as always is...
Crap.
And...
Rob Morphy.
Thank y'all so very much for joining us for Evil Science and or Magic Buddies. So we're going to actually be extending our Evil Science and Magic Buddies series here for a couple of weeks. We have a lot of listener stories that we kind of want to do, and it's I think it's going to give ourselves a little bit of a break on research and editing, and it's a perfect time actually I think to sit around and listen to super creepy shit with the summer and whatnot. So, summer of fucking creepy stories and everything. So keep them stories coming, and yeah, I think that's what we're going to be doing from this point forward until we get together again physically, and I think that will be happening very soon. So. Thank you all for joining us.
Absolutely. I think it's going to be fun. First off, these are great. I've been loving these stories. Secondly, with the exception of the kind and gentle listeners that send them in, it's going to be new to almost anybody that stumbles across this. So that makes it fun too. And like you say, I mean, it's a little less hands-on in terms of all the things we have to put into it. But I have been creating a stockpile. So when we finally do get back in person and, we get our space all ready, we are going to be ready to go like gangbusters. But until then, I think these are going to be really fun because I've really been tripping hard on these stories and they're dope as fuck.
Yeah, it's going to be like a little pod creepy listener story vacation for us. So it'll be cool. I'm pretty excited about it. It's dope. And keep sending those stories in, kryptonautpodcast@gmail.com. Keep sending them in to us. So before we get started here, the Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks, be sure to check us out there. patreon.com/kryptonautpodcast. $1 is a shout out, $5 is a shout out, and some bonus audio. So hit that up, and we have some Patreon shout outs that we're gonna be handing over to Rob this episode. So Rob, by all means, please Patreon shout out us.
Let's do this. We're going to start with a bad artist. I'd like to say this: no matter how bad you think you are, you're probably a lot better. Keep at it, and with practice comes improvement.
Exactly.
But also,
thank you very much.
Name, and thank you for signing on. Next, we have John Noble.
Thank you very much, John.
Sam Clements.
Oh, Sam, what's up? Thank you.
Isn't that like Mark Twain's real name? I could be way off. I don't know.
I think so. I don't know.
Thank you.
Well, Clemens, I think.
Clemens, yes.
Roger Clemens, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
It's going on. We can keep tracing this all the way to Kevin Bacon and Sasquatch.
There it is.
Next up, we have Paul Calzada. Again,
what up, Paul?
If we fucked it up, Paul, you know where to go.
Definitely.
Trenton.
Nice.
Arthur E. Warmoth.
Hell yeah.
I can't help but see a battle moth man.
Jesus,
like painted by Boris Vallejo circa 78.
Dude, fuck
It's
dude.
probably Warmoth, to be honest
you're
with you.
probably right.
Probably.
Not Warmoth.
Warmoth.
Jesus
You're
Christ.
probably right. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely
Full plate
fucking
male
right.
moth.
Yeah, Chris is not wrong by any means here. So.
No, but I would seriously consider changing the pronunciation, Arthur, because goddamn, Mr. Warmoth has entered
Fuck
the
yeah, dude.
chamber.
There it is.
Next, we have Nina Colin,
Thank you very much, Nina.
Michael Sotheran,
Nice. Thank you.
Evan Gall,
What up, Evan? Thank you so much.
Simply Terry.
Aw, Terry. I like that.
I do
Terry.
too.
Thank
Bold. I wonder if it's the Terry from the Charter House incidents.
you. Oh,
Ooh.
it could be. I think also, wasn't there like a plaid man that we named Terry, right? One of the
Oh my
interdimensional
god! Yeah,
dudes.
one of the intergalactic space cops.
Yeah, Terry. Thank you, Terry.
Alex Victorino.
Nice. Thank you, Alex.
Alpha Kenny Buddy. It sounds like a sign off for like the new Space Force.
Yeah, totally. I like it.
Tammy Hicksonbaugh Luther. That is the
Awesome.
coolest hyphenated name I have ever had the pleasure of stumbling across.
Hell yeah, it's dope. Thank you, Tammy.
Thank you, Tammy. Yes. Marcus Rahanen. I don't know what umlauts actually do to letters because outside of Motley Crue, I am pretty much unfamiliar. So, again, you know the deal. If Rahanen is not how you pronounce your name, Marcus, please let us know. And we're going to round this bout up with a shout to Professor Extra Large.
Oh, thank you very much,
Extra large.
Professor.
That's awesome.
Extra large. Thank you.
God bless
Thank
all of you. You're the bestest in the westest, east, and
Totally.
every other direction you can choose, up and down. This goes spatially, dimensionally.
There
And,
it is.
And we wicked appreciate all your support. So thank you.
Also, too, we want to give a shout out to the All Wine Aside podcast. Thank you all
yeah.
so very much. They sent us a little care package, gifts from the north of us, if you will, from the great
yeah.
country, Canada. Thank you so very much. I'm actually, because we're not recording together quite yet here, we're just going to save those until we can get together, and then those will be our celebratory beers. So, yeah, check them out. All Wine Aside, the podcast.
Oh, they're fucking
dope.
awesome. They're great.
Yeah, they're super
absolutely.
funny. And they're also on Instagram, and they do like some Instagram live recordings that are pretty fun. I jump in there all the time while they do their Instagram lives. So
That's
so check
awesome.
it out there. So
Yeah,
okay, I
thank
jumped
you
in.
so
I jumped
much.
in once. All right, I jumped in once. But I'm
Jesus
continue.
Christ.
I'm
All
going
the
to
time.
continue. I'm going to continue to jump in. Well, because sometimes when they're live, I jump in, let they end it or whatever. But they know what's up. They know what's up. Shout out to the girls there and All Wine Aside. Thank you for the presents. We appreciate them.
Absolutely.
All right. So, yeah, creepy stories, Rob. I don't know, scare me, make me feel afraid. How's that?
Or intrigue, at least. Open our minds.
Yeah.
We've got.
There you go.
We're probably going to more often than not break these down into two stories. Some are very long, and we've got a couple that we're going to set aside for actually complete pods because they warrant it, and others may be less so. But the beautiful thing about this is it's the content that matters. So we're going to stick with what we've been doing so far with two stories, but the first story is actually broken into two parts. So
Oh, cool.
bonus.
Nice.
This one comes to us from what I hope is not a nom de plume, and that is Kid Thunder.
Hell yeah, Kid Thunder.
Awesome. Okay, dudes, I've got two stories for you. And this is how he begins the first one. Halloween 2016. Living in my student house in Fallowfield, an absolute shithole area on the edge of Manchester. So we're going back to England again. That's awesome.
Oh, nice. Sweet.
Myself and three friends were supposed to go see the band Basement that evening. I don't know Basement, but I'm going to look it out. I hope they're punk as fuck. At least that's what it sounds like.
Totally.
But instead, we decided to stay home and smoke the devil's lettuce.
Yeah.
Or as we like to call it, a Michael Bublé. That is
man.
fucking clever as the Dickens. Well played,
Nice.
kid.
I'm going to start using that.
Yeah, Michael Bublé, beautiful.
Nice.
As we were stuck to the sofa watching Family Guy, that sounds about right. At about midnight, the front door knocked. It wasn't really an estate for trick-or-treating, so I assumed it was my housemate returning from work and forgetting his keys, in parentheses, a regular occurrence. As I opened the porch door, I saw a witch figure through the glass of the front door. I stopped for a second, hoping that she hadn't seen me through the blurred glass. So at this point, I'm assuming he's like, oh, fuck, trick-or-treaters, and we got no candy, just a lot of Bublé.
Don't hand that to the kids, whatever you do.
But
It's definitely an
nonetheless,
offense.
yeah, definitely. No, the devil's lettuce is not. Though I will say, my mom used to
Jesus.
give out the weirdest shit. Hot cocoa packets to warm you when you got home, which some kids really liked, but I thought was an absolute fucking weird thing. And one year, she gave, I swear to God, it must have been soul crushing, pencils with extra erasers, and she mentioned to each and every kid, as I recall, because I think I was about 13, maybe just too old to trick or treat, and she added, "It's because they're useful." To which I cringed every time. I know you're trying to be helpful. I know you were raised poor and didn't always have a pencil in the house, and you're trying to do right by society and like end of the year tests. But Jesus Christ, it's Halloween, Mom.
It's
Halloween.
adorable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's adorable, but like,
Why not like just a pencil and a Snickers?
Yeah,
I know,
yes,
really. Yeah.
Exactly.
Instead of just the pencil, and then while you're at it, just don't do the pencil and just give me the Snickers. How about that?
How useful is that, Chris? Hardly.
Oh God! All right.
God bless
so
the woman.
The kids are there, and these stoners are not going to be handing out pencils and or war bonds to children.
War bonds.
Awesome.
Jesus.
Oh, it's great.
All right. So we've got Kid Thunder at the door, hoping not to be seen. He stopped
The
for
witch.
a second, trying to like let the blurred glass do its work, but it never does. But nonetheless, she starts shouting, "Trick or treat, let me in." That's the fucking twist. At which point I go, "Absolutely not."
Well,
Solid
response.
Solid response. Absolutely not.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
I thought this would be enough to deter said woman, but no. She started trying to get the door open by vigorously pulling at the handle.
Oh God.
I know. Naturally, in my stoned state, I ran upstairs to my bedroom, which looked over the front door. As I stood at the window, there was nobody there. I walked back downstairs, assuming the event was over. However, literally as I sat back down, the door knocks again, and the witch is there asking to be let in. This time, not only was she pulling at the door handle, she was sticking her fingers through the letterbox. You just see them. You see these gnarled, nasty green crone fingers. Just
all right.
Yeah. I again run upstairs, looking through the window, and there's nobody to be seen. So, like the adult I am, I unlocked the front door, ready to check out the area, and crippler crossface this bitch back to hell.
Oh Jesus!
Solid plan.
Wow, all right.
No, I mean, if you can't belt a paranormal entity, what the fuck? I opened the door. ... Nobody there.
Oh, dude.
This was the last encounter. As I went downstairs the following morning and checked the porch, there was a pile of chocolate posted through the letterbox. I would not eat that chocolate.
No, dude, that's
I hope
fucking.
you avoided that like the plague.
Chris is considering eating the chocolate.
I don't know. You
can't
smoke
eat witch
weed?
chocolate.
Why not?
You smoke, yeah. If you smoke,
Hansel
yeah. I
and
mean,
fucking Gretel. The protocols are there. I mean, every other Grimm's fairy tale, you can't eat witch chocolate, man.
Yet, well,
I mean,
this is your house, not her house.
oh, good point.
I know
Well,
what
there's
you're saying.
rules. There's rules.
Yeah, there's rules.
She said, "Let me in," so obviously she can't come in without being invited.
"Oh, vampire."
It's a fucking vampire. It's not a witch.
It's a vampire dressed as a witch trying to get in to exsanguinate you,
Yeah,
hoping to dupe you.
It was Halloween after all, so there said vampire dresses as the witch, and it was like, "Let me in," and then fucking put just the fingers through the mail
That's
thing.
the worst part. That's
It's
Evil
gross.
Dead.
I mean, but do you like kick her fingers if you haven't?
That's too much, because you got to remember,
I don't know, man.
Still, it's Halloween night. So there's a chance it's like a buddy fucking with you, or an
but if you just kick the
ex-girlfriend, or
fingers,
a
I mean, if you
current
happen to
female
break,
friend.
but if you just happen to, if someone puts their hand through the mail slot, for some reason, and I know you guys are gonna call me out on this, but I kind of think my first instinct might be to kick and or like slap away or grab something and smash their hand with it. I mean, that's just where I'm at.
I dig
now.
what you're saying there, but I think that fully depends on the level of terror you're feeling. If he was alone in the house and maybe just a smidge higher, maybe that would have been a justified reaction. At this point, it seems like it's nerve-wracking, but it's Halloween, and I think the most disconcerting part is that even though she or he in disguise could certainly have ducked away, and we don't know what kind of shrubs or other places to hide there are in this estate, but by the time he gets upstairs, there's no one to be seen.
Right.
And now maybe the stairs are facing the door, and then she can see him running up and knows that what's happening. So there's a lot of ways you can justify this as just a human sort of incident.
Right.
But the fact that it's not there, and I also want to say, just to set the record clear on my part, I will eat the fuck out of some Wiccan chocolate. Like, I got no bones about that. My proper witches out there, I will eat all the chocolates. But like, classic Oz evil witch, fucking would you mind getting your fingers through the mail hole chocolate? A little sketchy for me.
So, Chris, if this happens to you and you have your swords on the wall, do you use your sword to put through the mail slot? Do you try to stab the witch, or what do you do?
No.
Okay.
Always the voice of reason.
No, I wait for
some reason.
chocolate.
Do you do, Chris?
I wait for chocolate, and then I eat the chocolate. Because I like fucking chocolate.
See Chris standing there, not using his swords as I would, just waiting like, are you done? Are you not coming in? Leave
Well,
me the
now
chocolate.
that I know it's a thing,
Yeah. There you go.
I'll
See?
just wait for the fucking candy.
Boom. There it
Yeah, but
is.
how do you
All
know
right.
it wasn't like goblins delivering it? Like the chocolate might not be directly related to the witch. It could be troll chocolate. Some other Samhainian entity's chocolate.
Maybe
could
it was
be,
Danzig.
But that's
Maybe
not the
Danzig.
story.
Yeah, it's not. It's true. Maybe Danzig brought chocolate.
It could be
There you go.
Danzig.
It could be. Like, Chris, I got some fucking chocolate for you, man. Yeah. And fucking, he just leaves it for you. He fucking runs away. You're like, what's that little tiny scamper of feet that I hear? Is that Danzig? And there's fucking Danzig running away. Yeah, Chris. There it is.
We need some Danzig carols immediately for
Wow.
fucking Halloween.
We do. All right. So what is the next experience here? What else happened?
Absolutely. Sleep paralysis. I like how he titles these. It feels
no.
like a police report almost. Halloween
Nice.
2016.
Awesome.
Sleep paralysis.
Paralysis.
This is something I've encountered since childhood. The first occurrence, I was living with my parents. I woke up and sat up to see a shadowy woman sat at the end of my bed, to which I said, "Mom, is that you?" The figure then raised its hand and basically forced my body back to the lay down position and forced me to sleep. That's fucked up.
Well, that's creepy.
I woke up again, no idea how long later, and it was still there. The same thing happened, and I was forced back to sleep. Morning came, and there was nothing to be seen. All right, that's just, come on. That's
it's creepy.
That's not acceptable. It shouldn't have been acceptable at any time, but in 2020, knocking people out in their beds, forcing them to sleep, it's just not cool. So paranormal entities get fucking woke.
Is that technically like an old hag, right? Is that kind of what that is, sort of?
Well, old hags.
I thought they like sit on your chest
They
and
sit
make
on
you
your
not
chest,
breathe.
yes. And a lot of times they're depicted as
gotcha.
demons or whatever, and they steal your breath allegedly,
Yeah.
and they are the cause of sleep paralysis, though a more scientifically minded and certainly more paranormally skeptical mind would suggest that it is the actual phenomenon of sleep paralysis. Actual, by that I mean the academic medical version of it, wherein you're partially awake but still in a dream state. But so because you're in a dream state, your body is paralyzed to prevent you from acting out your dreams and hurting yourself or others, I suppose. And you can still have these hallucinatory type images. I think the truth maybe falls somewhere in between, but it is not usually a woman that may be mistaken for your mom or whomever sitting on the edge of your bed and just pushing you back down. Now, it's not far from it, so maybe that's a version of it.
Right.
But
yeah, that's kind of creepy.
This shit gets a little worse.
Oh, boy.
After this encounter, since moving away from home, sleep paralysis has happened to me pretty regularly. The main encounter is with a huge, grinning, black monster perched like a spider in the top corner of my bedroom.
Oh, God.
That's real familiar to me because I know I've told you guys plenty of times about the armless, legless baby with the one giant telltale heart, bloodshot eye with spider limbs coming out of its torso that used to live in the corner of my childhood bedroom.
Yeah, you're a haunted child.
I don't know if that was like a sleep paralysis or just night terror disorder, or if interdimensional fuck-alls were coming in to torment me. Regardless, I identify with him seeing a grinning black monster perched like a spider. But this is not. It's perched like a spider, but it is not specifically a spider.
Right.
Here's the interesting part. As Kid Thunder's staring at it, he stares back at me, and it looks like he takes pleasure in terrifying me. Opens the door with just one main thing.
Damn.
You know what that is, Mark.
Oh, the ultra terrestrials?
I didn't have to say it. You knew it.
Okay.
However, The more frequently he appeared, this is an interesting twist, the less scared I became, to the point where, when it happens now, we literally just stare at each other in some sick showdown until I decide to force myself back to sleep. So
weird. You're like eye fucking each other?
Well, would you call every spaghetti western you've ever seen an eye fucking? Is Clint Eastwood always eye fucking
Apparently.
Eli Wallach?
Apparently, if you're Mark, that's what you're doing.
You know, I think this came up at not that long. Well, maybe it was that long ago. Fuck or fight? What do you want to do? If we're gonna have a stare down, what do you want to do? Do you want to fuck or do you want to fight? There you go. So, and if it's still some weird interdimensional or ultra-terrestrial being in the corner of your room, I mean, hey, maybe you could spark a friendship or maybe even a romance. You never know.
Oh yeah, don't rule it out.
I mean, it could be the best thing ever to happen to you.
Less with a spidery fuck all, but who knows? If that's your
You
bag,
never know.
by all
Maybe
means.
you share common interests or you subscribe to the same subreddit. You never know.
It's amazing though that he can actually get the wherewithal, no matter how long this has happened, to just say fuck it, I'm going back to sleep. You do your thing. You keep eyeballing me. You keep eye fucking me. And I'm just gonna go back to sleep.
I'm assuming that after so long, it's probably just got to become like, I mean, if he's experiencing this in a pretty regular basis, you probably just go eventually from terror to like acceptance, where you're like, all right, I'm here and you're here. What are we going to do? The ultimate showdown.
No, the most despicable of circumstances eventually become, unfortunately, your norm sometimes. And if there's one thing human beings are super fucking good at, besides, I don't know, destroying the environment and sundry other evils, is fucking adapting to good or bad. Getting bored of the good and learning to tolerate the negative.
They're just staring at each other. I mean, like, it's not like, there's nothing physical going on unless there's more to the story. But it just sounds like they're staring.
Well, he adds, fuck that big Gengar-looking motherfucker, to which I have to admit, old man Rob had to look up what a Gengar was.
That's a Pokemon, right?
It is a Pokemon. You're absolutely right. It is a rotund, gray-blue, I think red-eyed, I don't know, like reddish pink-eyed, spiky, brown, toothy Pokemon thing.
When I first read this, like, I was reading it real quickly in the morning. We got it a couple weeks ago, and I thought I said "fuck that Dengar," and I was like, "Wait a minute, he's having an encounter with a Dengar-like being." I'm like, "This is kind of cool," and then I realized, "Oh no, it's not. It's a fucking Gengar." So. Yeah, it's creepy though. So was that the only thing? Was that his last experience, or was there anything else that happened with him?
This. If I'm home alone, I have a similar sleep paralysis encounter, but as I'm falling asleep rather than in the middle of the night. I find this one much stranger. I don't actually see any creatures, as I always fall asleep on my front. But as I'm drifting off, my body paralyzes, even though my mind is still awake. In this state, I begin to hear doors opening and slamming. I also hear footsteps running down the stairs, but as I hear the sound of my bedroom door opening, I fall asleep.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's it's almost...
Damn.
It could be in your head, of course. Part of this is bound to be psychological. But this idea that something's coming up and then creeping, and then as the door's opening, either you have the mercy of going unconscious, or you're missing out on some other horrible shit. So maybe it's a good thing that you fall asleep.
Yeah, I mean, I've spoken about my experiences, especially with the old devil's lettuce, the vapable type, and vaping myself into a fucking sleep paralysis and fucking myself up. If you're smoking a lot of weed, I mean, it will fuck your sleep up. I mean, it puts me to sleep, but I don't sleep restfully. I'm kind of all fucked up when I go to bed. So that might help, man. Maybe, maybe if you're fucking crushing it hard, just take a break.
Some
have
shit can really
half
mellow.
Edible,
I'm not nearly as experienced as you or most people, to be honest, but with edibles or even smokables, some shit does not promote sleep in me whatsoever, and it's going to be a long night even if my body feels leaden. My head goes flying, and other times it's a very relaxing, chill thing. You don't even remember when you fell asleep. It was so easy. So it really all depends on the content.
Booze, actually, recently booze has started to really affect my sleep, I've noticed. Like I can't...
For the worse, I assume?
Oh, yeah, like, especially, like, if I'm stressed and I'm just, like, stress drinking, like, some people stress eat, I stress drink. Like, if I stress drink, I just fucking can't sleep. Like, I mean, I'm tired, like, oh, I had a couple beers, I'm gonna go to bed, good night, and then fucking, it's terrible sleep.
Well, the stress can't help anyway. That shit is what keeps you up.
Yeah.
But drowning it in beer does not help at all, because then I just get fucking weird dreams, and fucking, it's all fucked
now,
up. So.
If you had beer and Ativan... Magic.
Oh yeah, they'd be great. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, like
so
just
Kid Thunder, not to cut through. You know, I got nothing but mad empathy for you there. Wraps this up by saying, anyway, nice one on the podcast. Thank you.
Nice, awesome. Thank you, Kid Thunder.
I really enjoy this shit, especially the frequent Guns N' Roses references.
Awesome.
However, how can you say the moon landing happened and in all caps, "Are you stupid?" Kind regards, Kid Thunder.
That's right. The alleged moon,
you
motherfuckers.
Don't even believe in the fucking moon.
That's why we didn't land on that shit.
Right.
If it ain't, I don't believe in the moon landing because if the moon ain't there, you can't land on it. What kind of fucking logic is that?
Oh,
Shit's a projection, dude.
You know,
they landed on projection.
Get out my wavelength, Rob and Chris.
Kid, it is literally overwhelming the preponderance of evidence of the existence of a moon.
Yeah,
and
evidence.
Even for the moon landing. But we'll tackle that another day.
Evidence. I love the fact that every time somebody says anything about the moon in our Facebook group, they always put in quotations, alleged. I love it. It's a thing now, man. It's fucking great. And here's the funny thing. That shit only works with us and our listeners because I've said it like randomly outside of like the podcast and or our listener, group and shit like that on Facebook. And people look at me like the alleged moon. I'm like, yeah, the alleged moon. And then I realized what a fucking maniac I sound like. Like, no, it's really a joke, but...
You can't just throw that out there in real life.
Yeah, it's kind of fun, though. It just fucks people up. It's good, man. It keeps people on their toes. Like, I met some dude who doesn't believe in the moon. I'm like, yeah, it's fucking me, man. Check my podcast. We're available on iTunes and Spotify.
There has got to be a movement out there. I mean, I assume... I don't know... I just even the words, but flat earthers I know think it's just like some sort of light that circulates over a bowl-shaped or flat earth. I get that, I guess.
Right.
I don't buy it, but I get that. But I don't know. I know there's a theory. I know because we talked about it once. Like, where space is all a lie.
Dude, there's a whole... We've talked about possibly doing a flat earth episode at some point. I don't know if we have the capability because the math is weird. Like, it's a lot. Like, it's a whole lot. And there's nothing really there. So, as much as I enjoy it...
I've got to say...
I love joking about it.
In preparation for a potential one, I actually watched Behind the Curve... something flat earth lies or something like I watched like 4 documentaries on fucking Prime and YouTube. I thought I'm gonna give this shit a fair shake. I'm gonna go into this like there's a chance it's real.
You can't do it.
And it was so obvious.
Behind the curve. What's behind the curve?
Oh no.
Oh god. All right. Enough of the flat earth.
Yes.
Maybe we'll do a flat earth episode at some point. Chris can figure the math out. He knows the Bible and math. He can do that for us.
Yeah, no.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. He's a resident theologian and mathematician.
Exactly.
Yeah, of course he can.
Perfect.
He can figure out the Jesus math as to why the world is not flat, or why the world is not round. Because clearly it is flat.
That's it.
Yeah, there you go. Boom. So we'll
Chianti and head. Go.
All right, Robert. Continue to creep me out.
This one is anonymous.
Okay,
but
cool.
This individual starts off by saying, "Love you shits. Best podcast of this genre out there. Thank you very much."
Thank you so much.
Okay. You tell me what this was. I'm not sure what to call this. Ghost encounter, astral travel, OBE, time slip, old hag syndrome, possession, abduction, other ? That's a lot that's a lot of phenomenon.
Well, that kind of covers a lot of things. So
it's really everything, yeah. Okay.
And I got to say, this was really a fascinating account. So without further ado, I was in my early 30s in the early 2000s. Kind of old for old hag. which is experienced primarily by younger people. I believe that, though I don't know enough about the phenomenon to confirm that. My wife and I were camping after a hard day of hiking and rock climbing in the Daniel Boone National Forest in Kentucky, old frontier and Civil War country. That night, we quickly fell asleep in our tent as we were exhausted. Approximately 3 or 4 a.m., I was shocked by an incredibly vivid dream that burst into my dream vision. I was very aware that I was asleep and dreaming, thus technically lucid dreaming at that moment. I was also very aware of how I was oriented in my tent, where my wife lay asleep, how my tent was situated in my campsite, where the campfire was, which way was north, where my car was parked, where the park entrance road and ranger station were, the roadside ditches and underbrush, and the general geography of the nearby area. I could see it all as if outside my body and tent and viewed from above our sleeping bodies. So what started off to me is like, a virtuoso of memory, just like plotting it out. He ends this paragraph by saying he was having an out-of-body experience. He was actually floating above the tent where his body and his wife and her consciousness presumably were both asleep, and he was scanning the area with his eyes, thus recognizing all the things around him. And here's where it gets fucking weirder. Then suddenly, the vision of the geography melted and morphed into what I instantly knew was the same place, but different in appearance. What I knew was this was the same place in a much earlier time. Looking back in hindsight, it could have been a future time as well.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know. Mind blown. The campgrounds and the road were gone. What was currently thick woods and brush, roads and occasional structures were replaced with rolling hills and scattered stands of trees. Very far off in the distance, on a moonlit bald hillside, I could see 2 men glowing fuzzy white, bright enough to obscure any details of them, but I knew they were also not from here and now, the impression being a long time past. They were at such a distance, but I knew them as men. So that's interesting. First off, his gut instinct, which may or may not be correct, that he is observing this long ago, which opens up the idea that maybe long, possibly even pre-Columbian, like pre-human times, that maybe there were creatures that were human-like or humanoid in appearance, but just happened to be bioluminescent and did their things. Maybe extraterrestrial visitors, maybe indigenous things that got off Earth at some point. But I'm kind of I'm very intrigued by the notion that a very long time ago there were things here doing things that that absolutely aren't reflected in the geology or paleontology of any time, that it would just have gone unnoticed, and that maybe for some reason he's getting a glimpse of it. Suddenly, my vision of them zoomed in so that I was face to face with them in a fraction of a second, as if I were unwillingly yanked across the distance to them rather than them coming to me. They were both looking straight into my face at what seemed closer than normal conversational spacing. Yucky. They both turned their glowing and indistinct faces and looked into the distances off to their left and my right. The illuminated man to my right raised a hand and pointed a finger in the direction they were looking, leaned in even closer to me and asked, "Do you want to see a dead body?"
What
Indicating
the fuck?
That looks Stand By Me. Okay.
This is the worst version of it, though.
Yeah.
I mean, Jesus Christ. Now, like, we're going to go fight some fucking greasers and fucking chopper sick balls and all kinds of shit. No, some fucking glowing, luminescent man from pre-civilization is like, "Do you want to see a dead body?" Like, what the fuck, man? What do we do with this? I don't even know what to do. Rob, continue.
Yeah, either they're like super big Stephen King fans, or
Oh, I'm sweating.
or they're like the creepy, interdimensional teens you never want to bump into.
Oh God, no. All right.
So he asks the question, indicating where he pointed. To say the very least, this was shockingly creepy. Almost instantly, it is. I am aware that I am again in my tent, still dreaming all of this, I would guess. My vision now, however, was from my eye's normal point of view from where I lay on my back, not from outside of and above me as in the beginning. So now he's obviously back in his own body.
Right.
With my abrupt return to my current and actual location in my tent, I could see my chest, legs, and feet as I lay on my back from a normal point of view. However, there is another body glowing bright and fuzzy white, just as the men in the past distant hillside. This glowing body was taking great care to lay down and position his body precisely over mine, lying on my sleeping bag. Starting with the feet, legs, and pelvis, they seemed to merge into my body for a perfect matching fit. I don't like that.
No.
Yeah,
Jesus,
it's weird.
no.
He then lay into me so that his left shoulder and arm merged into mine, then his chest into mine. I watched in horror as he placed and merged his remaining right arm and shoulder precisely into mine as I lay there utterly unable to move or protest. When the very last of him filled my body's form, I felt my body explode into a rigid spasm of body-wide contraction or convulsion. Well, fuck.
What the fuck?
So that just adds a whole other dimension. It's this thing, and I can see why he gave us so many options in the beginning. Is it taking him over? Is it a parasite that's going to be somehow living within him for as long as it needs to or wants to, consume some essential part of him? Maybe spiritual, maybe psychological, maybe physical, or is it his own astral projection? But the reason I don't think it could be that is that he seems to have his awareness within his body watching this thing merge with him. Or was he one of these creatures in a past life? If they're like weird terrestrial beings or elementals or some foundational spiritual entity that I mean, the questions are explosive. Needless to say.
Yeah, I know. I mean, yeah, we're this is going to be Prometheus in a second here, like engineers and shit.
But it results in a seizure, basically. Well, not a seizure, but like an epic convulsion.
Wow.
This was no longer. No, go ahead and say what you're going to say, Mark.
Yeah, no, I was just saying. All right, like fuck, that's all right.
This was no longer anything that could be thought of as a dream. This was real. I was fully awake. My back was arched like a bridge, with only my shoulders and neck and the soles of my feet touching the ground. That sucks. I wanted to scream, Jesus. Get out! But my chest and lungs refused to expand and take the breath I needed to do so. I thought that if I could just get a breath, I could yell loud enough to break the spasm of contraction that had such a complete grip on me. I tried and succeeded to take many tiny sips of air until I had the breath that I needed to scream and break free of this terrifying convulsion and what felt like an invasion of my body. Funny thing is, this whole time, I was aware of my wife sleeping inches away, and that if I yelled, get out, that it would certainly frighten her, so I decided to yell, stop it, instead, and I did just that. You gotta say, a man that's going through this kind of a horrible thing, and he's still thinking about his wife first, well played.
Yeah, totally.
That very instant, the entire event was over. No more body-wrenching spasm, no glowing form within me, just me and my white-eyed wife bolt upright beside me. It was over. I insisted that she lay in physical contact with me for the rest of the early morning. I refused to allow myself to go to sleep until I could see the orange glow to the east that was the soon-to-be-risen morning sun. I don't blame him. That's fucking traumatic.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
For the next 3 days, my body was racked with sore muscles, especially my torso, as if I had done 1,000,000 crunches and push-ups. My voice was basically gone for a few days from the forceful scream before it came back hoarse and scratchy. I could easily write this off as an atypical old hag experience, if not for the convulsion instead of the opposite flaccid paralysis that is common to it. That's an interesting perspective. I mean, I think maybe when you're rigid in bed, I don't know if it's flaccid or not, but the contortions, the convulsions, the sole of your feet and the back of your neck and head arching you up while you're in agony. I mean, that's a twist on old hag that I've never heard. Doesn't mean that it can't be a similar phenomenon, but I get what he's saying there.
Right.
Later research leads me to think it as an OBE/astral travel, OBE, of course, being out of body experience. As I've read, those tend to end abruptly and sometimes violently. The only thing that makes me a little dubious of the OBE hypothesis in this case is that the awareness of something entering his body was in his body, indicating that the conscious self or soul or whatever manifestation you want to call that would be used in an out-of-body experience was not separate from him. Now he might have had an out-of-body experience when he was floating above the tent, but to me, I think he went back in his body and one of these things came to him, or maybe one of the next generations down the pike came to him, or who knows what, and had this interaction, whatever it means. There are those who question whether the spirit/soul might have been lured away from the physical body and distracted so that another might take possession of it. We somewhat affectionately refer to it as possession. I don't know who's doing that affectionately, but you keep interesting company, man. Although it still scares the crap out of me. A form of abduction also doesn't seem to be out of the question. I never went back to that part of the national forest. And he ends it with, thanks and keep up the great work. Love the show. Thank you. And thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
That to me is the scariest part, that implication that it's a dupe, like it's a distraction, like, oh yeah, these guys over here, they're doing something, and they're doing it either in the distant future when the forest has reclaimed the area, or in the distant past before there was any human civilization to be a blight on it. And they suck you in close and look you in the eyes and be like, do you want to see a dead body? Which is just fucking incongruent and weird, unless literally Stand By Me is like the hottest movie of the fucking year 137 or whatever fucking time this would be, whenever they had trees. And so the idea that this would be a dupe, so this other thing, but his body goes back, so either he manages to fight it off, or to this day might still be living with, and either, to be generous, symbiotic, glowing entity of intelligence that for some reason is content to just either take up space in his body, maybe at rest, or a parasite, like I said earlier, that's eating and maybe doing something nasty to some aspect of him, either mentally, physically, or spiritually, or worse yet, something that's slowly taking him over in a way that's so incremental that he won't know the difference between what is him and what's just an opinion he has in 2020 that he might not have had in 2000.
Sort of like in Buckaroo Banzai?
Like the slow game, the slow possession.
Yeah, sure.
There's so many different aspects that are wide open. I think that's why when I read this, my mind just started shooting to all these different places. The idea of, say, elemental figures or whatever living here, and whether or not they're doing something beneficial or not. But I think the thing that throws me most for a fucking loop is the "do you want to see a dead body?" Which we all know from fucking, Stephen King and whatnot. But I mean, it's still just a general statement. It might not have anything to do with that. So what the fuck is that all about?
It's just weird.
It's bizarre. Like, what does it even have to do with? Yeah, it's. I mean, at any point, anyone's like, you want to see a dead body? Especially some weird glowing figure, possible past person, like you just be like, oh yeah, no, totally fucking show me the body. Like, does it even work? Is that a thing? Unless, of course, it's Stand By Me.
No, I can't think of any context.
Really?
That works.
Like, I mean, come on. Seriously. Yeah, I don't know. That's a weird fucking aspect of it. I mean, I guess if you are dealing though with is the 411 is that missing 411 that's involves national parks if I'm not mistaken, correct?
It does.
Where people go missing in national parks over like weird shit. Where like literally there's a kid who's like standing there and all of a sudden like he's gone like within the blink of an eye. So yeah, I mean if this is some sort of like entity or whatever that just so happens to be possessing the area, which I mean, if he's sleeping and this thing is coming at him and just sort of like projecting this, but I mean, that's a lot of assumptions, obviously, on my part. Yeah,
it's not though the only time.
I don't see the end. I mean, maybe except for impregnating him with some weird little fucking parasite, a la Howard the Duck. Yeah, maybe that's the game, but. Oof.
Impregnating humans one by one.
Yeah, it could be, man. Fucking dude, shit's weird, dude. Maybe.
Like I say, there are protocols, not necessarily for this specifically, but people have seen glowing humanoid figures in other national parks. Most especially, what comes to mind, though I can't cite the specific case, is Mount Shasta. I know that eyewitnesses have seen these things that are supposed to be like these glowing sage, potentially extraterrestrial elders that live deep in the bowels of Mount Shasta and are doing whatever the fuck they're doing. And sometimes they have nefarious intentions, and sometimes maybe they'll help you out and point you in the right direction if you're lost and screwed. So glowing humanoid beings, I mean, think of it this way. Forget about the glowing part, even though, like I say, there is a little bit of a protocol there. Think about if you want to hide here and you can't fit in physiologically with the indigenous species, national parks are the place to do it. They're untouched. They're not allowed to be touched except, by random campers and the people that patrol the area. Lots of secluded, isolated places that people haven't been to in decades, if not centuries. And if you have some technology with which to bore holes in the earth or, make interdimensional pockets you can live in or who the fuck knows what, it would be a perfect place to exist without having to come into contact very often with human beings. And that's a positive.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Chris, what do you think?
I mean, I don't even know. Like his very first sentence is like the description. It's everything. Is it this? Is it this?
It's pretty wide open. Yeah.
No, it was uncanny.
Could be all of those. It could be none of those. But everything he listed, it could be because it sounds. I mean, it does sound astrally. Does sound out of body. Does sound sleep paralysis. There's a time slip. Sort of possession-y. I mean, I don't think.
I mean, all you're missing is the fucking. You're missing the fucking Bigfoot and the alien, and fucking boom, there you go. You got your whole fucking menage all set up there. So.
And he even mentioned ghost encounter, lest we forget.
Yeah, no, exactly. If it's for some, like I said, if you're dealing with some sort of spirit or entity coming to him, projecting something, or yeah, I mean, or then again, abduction, totally. Completely could be an abduction.
But an odd abduction, because what kind of abduction does the alien or whatever entity is abducting you try to absorb itself into your physical being and then, make you go through this agonizing physical contortion before either hopefully leaving or maybe not? Terrifying.
The whole absorption thing is kind of fucking weird. That's the one that kind of gets me. I don't know, man. It's just fucking creepy. I mean, I don't know. Stay out of national parks, I guess. Like, don't go there. Like, sorry, rangers,
don't support your national park. Support them from a distance. They're good for animals, but they're maybe no good whatsoever for fucking people. So
I was just in one, as a matter of fact. So yeah, exactly.
Keep it to day trips. Stay on the fucking path. That's
dude.
American Werewolf taught us nothing. Stay on the fucking path,
Go to Fillmore Glen, walk the trail. There you go.
Exactly. Keep it simple.
Yes.
Keep it simple. I will say this, though, to whomever wrote this, and I know Mark's probably got more information. It's not here, and it shouldn't be, and obviously we would never reveal it. I would love to pick your brain a little more, because this could be a really fascinating case to further explore and to get some more information on, because it's really unique. I'm not saying it's unheard of, but it is very unique, and the fact that it incorporates potentially so many different things, as the individual acknowledged, and who knows, might still be an ongoing thing for all we know to some degree or another, though I understand why he would not be in national parks anymore. Or at least that portion of it, because I think that's just what he said. But I'm definitely left intrigued and empathetic, because that is fucking terrifying. First off, anything when you float above your own body, that's got to be disconcerting, weird. But then if you're sucked, so all of a sudden you are the camera in a dolly shot, and you're flying at these things that you don't know what they are, and they're in your face, and you can't make out their features, and one whispers insidiously while pointing fucking, enigmatically over your shoulder, "Want to see a dead body?" And you're just like, I puked in my pants a little. And then you're back in your fucking body with your wife. You think, oh, it's all good. But no, this fucking thing is laying into me. And starting with the feet and then the knees. It's like fucking,
it's gross.
Scum twister.
Yeah. My favorite sci-fi movie.
Scum twister.
The dead body thing is really fucking weird, though. I can't get past that.
Because we all immediately go to Stand By Me. Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, yeah.
Even if it wasn't, it's just who says that? Like what?
I don't
it just
know.
doesn't. It's not like, I don't know. It's just a weird thing to say.
It is a
Of
real
all the
weird
things
thing to say.
for the glowing beings to say, like, I want to see a dead. It just, it's just,
And what Mark said earlier, even though I think it predates the 1950s they went back to, but with greasers and everything, unless they're just like punk kids from another dimension, just dumb shit. Just juvenile delinquents are kicking around, smoking fucking interdimensional cigarettes with their hair slicked back with interdimensional pompadour juice and fucking whatever else. And they're just like, yeah, man. One of our kind died over there. Or it could be an elk. It could be anything. It could be a human being, a hiker who tripped. And he's like, dude, now that you're with us, want to fucking check this out? It's pretty cool. Can you buy us beer? You look like you're 30.
It's weird. Oh, it's weird. All right, interdimensional fucking kids, weird interdimensional parasite or paranormal possession. The whole glowing parasite thing kind of fucking creeps me out. Like, I would just be looking at my shit all the time. Like, am I glowing? Am I glowing? Am I glowing? Like, freaking the fuck out. But,
is that my kneecap?
like,
hey, honey, is my kneecap glowing?
I would literally, I would just be like looking at myself constantly, like making sure my hairline's where it's supposed to be. My eyes aren't getting fucked up. My ears aren't turning into fucking horns. I'm not like fucking pissing fire. Like,
oh boy.
Pissing fire
yeah,
and
exactly.
earlobes into horns, I get. But over a 20-year course, hairlines can recede, and if that guy's basing out his mental stability on whether or not he's losing hair, that might be a problem.
I'm currently dealing with my hairline not being what it used to be, okay? And I confided in you two before the pod that I am now rocking a ponytail because it is very hot currently here in New York.
Yes, it is.
And I'm sweaty, and I need to pull my hair back, and I might look like John Lovitz or Steven Seagal, okay?
Oh,
so I'm having a moment.
It is a lesser of two evils, but you want to go with the latter. You definitely want to go with the latter.
I ordered Chinese tonight for me and the family. It came to $50.50. I ate most of the food, and then I bought $30 worth of beer. I'm having a moment, okay?
$50? What the fuck did you order?
Well, I mean, there's four of us, and we always order a shitload of food because it also is lunch for tomorrow and everything else. But I may have gotten a little crazy with the Chinese order. But what are you going to do? Trying to support local businesses. I love Chinese food, so fucking do it.
Sometimes you're hungry.
Just bunch of shitload of beer. So all right, cool. Well,
it's official.
There it is, man.
You are not losing your hair. It is an interdimensional parasite. And we
There
just
it
gotta
is.
find a way to
Boom.
exercise it.
We got to figure out a way to get someone in me to fucking take it out. Just talk to it. You know what? Negotiate.
Let's be
fucking
real careful how we
negotiate.
term that. Who wants to go
my
in the
God.
mark and take the damn parasite out? Oh,
Yeah,
raise hand,
whatever.
raise your hands. Account.
Negotiate. Get in there and negotiate with it. Figure out its demands and get the fuck out of me so I can get my goddamn hair back, okay? And my waistline would be nice too. All right?
Wow.
Regardless.
Jeez, all right.
All right, there it is. Thank you all so very much for joining us for the Kryptonaut Podcast presents Evil Science and Magic Buddies. Listener stories. This is part 5, actually, which is pretty cool. Part 4, which is hilarious, is I introduced it as part 3, and then I fixed it in the end where I'm like, oh yeah, shit, it's part 4. So this is part 5. Yeah, and as we mentioned at the top of the show, for the next couple weeks, we're just going to be taking a little pod vacation and doing some listener stories. So keep them coming in. We're going to have more episodes. Obviously, we're sticking to our Monday schedule. So, yeah, we're just going to keep putting out listener stories for a little bit until we get back together again where we can look deep into each other's eyes and visually cue when to talk and communicate to each other so that we're not fucking stumbling over fucking Zencaster.
You would think we would have gotten used to it by now. It's been so many weeks, but no.
Dude,
Yeah,
real talk, this shit kills us. Like, and all of our listeners are like, no, you guys are doing great. Like, it's cool. And I appreciate the compliments
They're
and
so
everything,
sweet.
but it's fucking killing us trying to do this shit over Zencaster. So it's just, we've not ever podcast like this before, but thankfully the listener stories is a much easier format, I think, for us to do. Both on the research end and the editing end, and then everything. It's just easier, and it's cool. It's creepy, and it's campfire time, man. It's the summer.
new.
Get out there and camp. Yeah, they're brand new.
And
Fucking go to the woods,
fascinating.
man. Yeah, go to the woods and fucking turn us on and shit and listen to us. Me and my family are going to the Adirondacks, hopefully, like in a couple of weeks. We're gonna I'm not gonna play this show actually when I'm up there with them,
Yeah,
but
no, I don't
whatever.
think the way
man.
the kids would appreciate that. No.
Yeah, no, the kids would fucking love it, but yeah, the wife isn't going to appreciate listening to this. So yeah. So yeah, there you have it. Thank you all so very much for joining us. Next week, Listener Stories Part 6, and we will have more coming to you very soon. So the Instas and the Twitters and the Facebooks, check us out there. Honestly, recently, I just been kind of sticking with Instagram. Some Twitter stuff and some Facebook stuff, obviously. But if you want to get a hold of me directly, hit me up on Instagram at the Kryptonaut account. I'm there. Merch, hellerspace.com. Masks are a thing, so buy some masks there. There's always sales happening, so be sure to check that out. I guess Insta, Twitter's, Facebook's, Hellerspace. Patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast. $1 is a shout out, $5 is a shout out, and some bonus audio. Thank you to everyone over there that supports us, and furthermore, thank you to all of our listeners. We appreciate it. We've been trying to get through this tough time, and we're making it. So, and thank you all for your support. We appreciate it.
Here, here.
It means the world to us. And I believe that's it. Oh, and again, shout outs to the All Wine Aside podcast. Thank you so very much.
Yeah.
Isabella and Kim, thank you so very much for that package. They are currently chilling in my freezer I'm sorry, my refrigerator.
Freezer?
Yeah.
Kim, we're chilling in your freezer. I'm like,
They
that's
were
a
freezing
whole
out. Yeah,
vision.
sorry. Yeah.
What have you
Yeah,
There goes
no, I
the
didn't-
fucking beer.
I didn't even realize how that came. No, Isabella and Kim are not in my freezer. That'd be fucking bizarre.
Yeah.
And also, too, that would be an admission right there, good sir.
Yes, it would.
No, the beers are chilling in my fridge, and those will be opened when we are together again, face to face in our new studio, recording. So I am super excited for that.
Then
It's gonna
thank
be
you so
fucking
much
dope.
for that gift, and thank you to everybody that
Totally. And
sends us good reviews and little gifts and signs up for Patreon.
Yeah.
We appreciate it all so much.
no, we appreciate it. Thank you
All
so
wine
very much.
aside,
So
you are the
yeah.
bestest. Thank you.
So there you have it, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Goodbye.
I miss you guys.
Me too.
We're friends. We're friends.
I know we're friends, but still.
What
friends.
I want you to do, Mark, is get up in the middle of the night and run to the bathroom, and if you see little glowing hands yanking your hair down into your skull, we're going to take that next necessary step.
Yeah.
Oh God, you haven't seen me recently, dude. My fucking hair is out of control, man. It's
I
fucking.
believe it.
I mean, I just look like just a fat tanned dad. like,
Wow,
just
all right.
yeah,
Living the
yeah,
life.
there it is. So I'm doing it. All right, we'll be talking to you.
Mark, Chris, and Rob,
Bye.
interdimensional exorcist for hire. Keep
Nice.
it real.
Peace.